Hi, I'm Dwayne Morton. As someone who has navigated some of life's most difficult, unlikely, and untimely circumstances, I understand what it feels like to battle those challenges alone. That's why I created ShowUp2Heal. This podcast is for the people who feel unheard, unseen, and unloved. This is where you can come and hear true stories and where man can have real conversations. But most importantly, this is a place where we're creating a community so you can feel supported. I want you to feel in this community that you are seen, heard, and loved. And if no one else has told you today, I love you. Welcome to ShowUp2Heal. Hey everyone. Thank you for showing up for another incredible episode of Show Up to Win presents ShowUp2Heal. I'm completely just so super excited about our guest today. I met him a couple months ago and just has been literally his work is life changing. And so I can't wait to get this thing started. And so I'm going to bring him up right now. Leland, man, thank you so much for being a part of this. You are one of the people that I was really looking forward to having a conversation. And I just want to say thank you for the utmost gratitude to be able to be a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for including me in this. I saw you creating this and I was excited that you wanted to have me a part of it. It's such an important topic. So thank you to you.
Thanks, man. So I'm going to read your bio. I love reading people's bios and being able to watch them, being able to receive themselves. But then also, like, this is an incredible bio. It was really hard to cut to get this into, a certain length, but I think it was very valuable for everyone to be able to hear. So Leland is the founder of the Willful Warrior, a neuroscience-based education and coaching company helping personal development, alumni, leaders, and veterans build the nervous system capacity to hold the breakthroughs they keep losing. A United States Air Force veteran, breathwork facilitator, executive coach, and neuroscience educator, he's the creator of the Welcome Home Method and the Body Intelligent Quotient, frameworks that translate polyvagal theory, somatic practice, and ancient wisdom into something a regular human can actually live. His message is simple and uncomfortable in the best way. Stop chasing breakthroughs, start building capacity. After years inside the self-help machine, retreats, plant medicine, coaches, and courses, Leland watched too many brilliant people collect insights they couldn't keep. The missing piece was never another revelation. It was a nervous system regulated enough to hold the one they already had. That's the work he teaches now, how transformation actually lands in the body and stays. Leland leads live retreats, executive coaching containers, and his flagship 90-day program built on the Welcome Home Method. He speaks on stages and podcasts about resilience, regulation, breathwork, leadership, and the post-COVID self-help hangover. Why so many high performers feel stuck despite doing all the right things, and what it actually takes to come home to yourself. How does that land, man, when people talk about this? And I didn't even put in some of the other stuff. But first of all, I want to say thank you for your service, ultimately.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot in there. And that was one, too, that I just reshaped and kind of reframed because I noticed the same thing you probably noticed as well. Like, I don't really need to learn something new. I already know so much, but why am I so scattered right now? And that's just dysregulation. We all need a regulated nervous system. So we're all in that same space right now. And the self-help hangover is real. I know you probably, right? Like during COVID, we all bought all these courses and
So for me with COVID was different. Like I felt like I had passed that time that they'd given me. So I was like, I guess this is it. Like that was the other aspect. So I had a different approach to COVID and I felt like I was living my best life. I was just like, okay, figure it out. So first question is going to be, Leland, is in this Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, What do you feel like we're doing correct? What do you feel like we're missing the boat? And what do you feel like that we could do better?
Yeah, this is an epic question, especially right now in the times where we are. I feel like the awareness that's being built around it right now, look, you're doing a whole series on it. I'm speaking on it. Many other men in influential positions are also doing the same thing. So I think that's most definitely what we're doing right now. We're putting awareness on something that should definitely be talked about because it's for far too long been stuffed under the rug. It's been a taboo subject type of thing. This projected view on what masculinity is type of thing. And I think that is where we're missing the bus, and where we could definitely do better is recognizing that coming together, having these conversations like this, opening up space and literally coming together as brothers is the one piece that most all of us have missed, right? Especially for us, before the military, I was a football player. You are a basketball player. So our life was competition, right? How much better than the next guy can I be type of situation. And that stuff ingrains in your head to the point where I don't ask for help. I don't tell you that I'm lost in the woods right now and I'm really feeling down, when that is our superpower as men, is coming together like a quorum, a brotherhood, and talking about the things that might be challenging or present or shifts that can be made together. So yeah, I think we're on point, especially like I said, with people like you opening up this conversation.
Yeah. So the athlete part, like I didn't know we had that in common until earlier. We were talking about, sports in general. I think the one thing is like, we also know that like when we were on a team, we didn't tell because someone was there to take our spot. That was another part of sports, is like, hey, what am I doing right? Well, I'm not telling you everything, because that's another thing. And I think as men, as we get older, we still hold on to that, especially as athletes. So I think that there's this other part of being able to trust and surrender. For you, it was different because of what you had to go through and how you found, breath work. Can you kind of explain like how those challenges really opened you up to, like, because you were looking for something, and I know how that is, but when you're really searching for something and then when you find it, and how you actually like go straight in.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, moving through the military, doing all the specialized training like SEER training, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Got my expert marksman, all this extra training that I went through for combat training. Funny enough, that helped to actually create the space for what I had found for myself after I broke my neck. So laying there on my bed and not being able to move anything below my Adam's apple, I tuned into everything that they had put in there and installed for me, right? You're not done. 3 strikes, you're not out. There's always one more thing you can do. You're not forgotten. We're coming for you. Fight, fight, fight. So all of that really, really dug in to the point where that was the moment, as, the fresh 19-year-old kid who had just broken his neck after coming back from a conflict, decided authority outside of me does not trump authority inside of me. I've got this doctor telling me what's not possible, what I might never do again, and I don't accept that. That's trash. That's garbage. I'm not taking that. And in that moment is when that story just kept running for me, like, no, you're not done. There's something you can do here. And then finding that for myself over the years has evolved into making sure that I share that light with other people, especially men right now, since we're focused on, Men's Mental Health Month. And just letting everyone know, like, listen, your circumstances are not what you're stuck with, bro. You are not stuck with what you were born with. You're not stuck with the fallout of your choices or decisions. I promise you, you can shift your sails. You can choose something different. You are the one that creates your experience. Never give your authority away to something external.
And that's the other part, is like when you found that part where you were like, hey, and you were able to be in your head for that length of time and be able to say, oh, I unsubscribe to all these programs. I'm subscribing to the ones that actually are good for me.
Yeah.
The challenging aspect, in my opinion, is we have to get rid of that other program, whether, right, wrong, we'll just call it just bad program for you, toxic programming. And in that part, when you were able to come back, how fulfilling was it? But also, I know from just knowing you, it wasn't like I told you I could do this type of stance. It was also just being proud, but also realizing that that was the next evolution for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you kind of speak on that for how that would, so if I was someone who had just broke their neck, how would you share that experience with them just on that part?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the aspects that I've recognized too, and it used to be a frightening thing, is the top of one mountain or level that I've reached is the bottom of the next. It's like, great, now I've got new information, new knowledge, new, checkpoints and information that I can base everything off of. And one of the things that I would impart with somebody who just broke their neck is, of course, we've got programs that we need to upload, let's say firmware updates, right? Or we need to adjust and shift. But the one thing that I would tell that person or anybody dealing with their struggle right now is remember that absolutely everything, including control on what you're focusing on, comes from a regulated nervous system. No matter what this thing is telling you, it's never near as bad as it seems. Yes, you just broke your neck. I wish I had this back when I was 19, but I found it for myself. But yeah, it's everything comes forth from a regulated nervous system. We can overwrite those programs. And I like what you said, because we focus so much on what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, when in fact, what you just said is what I teach people. Focus on what aligns and what doesn't align. And then that way, the program, the thought, the person, the thing doesn't have to be wrong for you to choose something different. You're just choosing aligned action that is good for you and aligns with the choices you want to make moving forward. So yeah, everything comes forth from a regulated nervous system.
So where did you find that where you were able to regulate your nervous system? Like, who was that person that was like, hey, I know you're going through some stuff. Like, how can I help you? Yeah. The support. Because I know that's a big story for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this will help people too recognize that me too. I was in that space where, of course, I fed into the woe is me. Oh my God, I can't believe I got to deal with this. But then in the moment that I decided, no. Just the simple decision of thinking, no, this is not going to be my life. The next day, my physical therapist walks in that they were giving me, right, to start to try to work with this thing that now is shut down from the Adam's apple down. And he was the first one as a physiotherapist to come in and start talking to me about yoga. So if you can imagine 19-year-old combat trained airman, I thought it was a joke. I thought my friends were playing a prank on me. Like, are you kidding me right now, dude? If I could move my legs, I'd kick you in the throat. Yoga, that's funny. That's really, really funny. Who told you to do that? That's mean, actually. And I noticed his face wasn't changing. I was like, oh, dude, you're serious. Did you not look at my chart? Are you not looking at the puddle of goo laying on the bed that can only do this? Like, how am I going to do yoga? And then that's when he was the first person to impart on me. The breath controls everything. It's called pranayama in yoga, right? Prana is the life force that travels through you, your spark, your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to take that word away from anybody, but it's the life force that travels through you. Your cerebral spinal fluid, as it flows up and down, is creating energy, not just refreshing all of the nutrients and phyto, compounds inside of there as well. But all you have to do, and he was the one that taught me, is regulate the CEO of your entire experience, your nervous system. Your nervous system controls everything. Thoughts, what you're seeing now, your life. Guess what controls your nervous system? Your breath. So he was the first one to take me through the round of what's called tumo breathing, right? It's that really fast, heavy cyclic hyperventilation, what you experienced with me. And then all of a sudden you hold, which is called a kumbhaka, or find balance in between, short form. And man, when I hit that first one, bing, zoom, I was back in that place where it was like, wow, this is amazing. Welcome back home. And then when I came back into my body, that was the first felt sense of me recognizing what you just said. Like, oh, he's so right. Like, I'm sitting here trying to will my way through this and force the thoughts to change to what I want to experience, when all I had to do was just get out of the way, regulate the nervous system, and everything dissolved.
So for me, when I was introduced to breathwork, I was like, because I had with the sleep apnea, I was like, it makes sense. Like, okay, but how far did I go? And then it was the basics, and I was like, I would use it, but then I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, I would just feel like I wasn't ready to let go. So one of the things when you were talking about that as an athlete, we didn't realize how important breath was. We were just like, hey, control your heartbeat. So the same thing with the shooting. I knew if I controlled my heartbeat, I was good. I could be calm, and then I could go lose my shit later on. But when I started getting around people like you that were actually explaining the reason why that worked, the science behind it, then it was like, oh, now I'm convinced. So now I'm going all in to get that feeling. How long did it take for you to, once you started, your welcome home moment, how was that switch from how intrigued were you at that point?
Oh my God. Like after he did that one, I was like a 5-year-old screaming again at him, like, do it again, do that again. What did you just do to me? So I dug in like a tick after that one. I mean, I was breathing all day long. What else did I have to do, right? I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't even use the bathroom on my own. So yeah, I dug in like a tick on that thing for sure.
And so through that experience, and when you started getting your feeling of your body, and you're coming back to being able to have all of your the senses and those type of things,
yeah,
was there a point where you were just like, okay, I'm here, and go back to the old programming? Where was that part where you were just like, did you stay with it?
That's a great question. It really is, because for the first 2 years until I limped away from that, yes, it was like, oh my God, I'm not letting this thing go. It was my precious. There's no way I'm not doing this. But then I realized that was to get everything back, right? Within the first 2 months, I had pretty much 60% of things back. I was able to lift arms and sit myself up. Within 2 years, I was able to limp away with a cane. And then after that point, what do you know? Because I wasn't handling the whole organism. I was just trying to fix the body, right? I was the guy that just found a really new tool and a really effective tool. And I'm going to use this, and I'm going to get the body back. And what I recognized is I hadn't been handling the mental side of the yoga. So for a little bit there, I put it down and became an alcoholic, and moved into using drugs and became addicted to street drugs and alcohol, and all the way down to the point where I lost my housing, became homeless, the whole arc of the addict, of course. And then that was when, just like we hear from Rumi, right? Or some of these other poets, at the absolute edge of desperation, when there's nothing else left, when you just want to throw your hands up and give up, that's when yoga truly begins. So right about decade and a half, 10 years of experiencing that messy middle. And I finally started digging in on training in yoga so that the full aspect would land, and recognizing, yeah, it's a really effective tool, but if I'm not putting the whole thing in practice for myself and making sure that I, to your point, reprogram the program, the old program's just going to continue to come back if I don't actually make shifts and adjustments there. If I don't run an update on my phone, it's going to run the old program. It's the same thing with us. So that was my point right around 2015, 2016, when I was like, dude, okay, yeah, I'm trying to do this physical push through it garbage, and that doesn't ever work. It just pushes what you want further away. I need to surrender into this and find the whole thing, the gift out of this whole situation.
Yeah, you use the word surrender there. And I think that's the other part is like, God, universe gives us this, okay, you get this right here. And are you happy with that? Or is this, and then you realize like, oh no, I'm not that happy with it. And then you realize like there's still, I hate to use the word work, but you know, it's the one thing that we're programmed to use is like work. And then you realize like, oh, there's another level and another step. So 24 hours before you found out that like, hey, there's another step, where were you at?
So before the teacher walked in,
Yes.
before he walked in and before I declared to the doctors, like, no, this was not going to be, I fell down the path of woe is me, give up, you know, like all of us do. And the one thing I want to remind people of is when you reach that point, you're not broken. You're actually working exactly as you should be. That is a system that is overtaxed. It's overwhelmed and it's overstimulated. What's it going to do? Dorsal vagal shutdown, freeze. When there's no way to fight or flight out of this thing, give up is the only option of the system. So yeah, I went through that for a little while before I finally felt that indignation against my old program. Like, no, that is not going to be my way. So yeah, I felt the depths, felt the darkness like most all of us do, which I think is an
Right.
important part of the process. You know, we look at that as bad. And like you said, it's like, no, that was your come to Jesus moment or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
So one of the things is like when you are going through those things, like I think the victim mentality is actually makes you more of a leader. Is like to be able to have that understanding of like, okay, I was in victim mentality, but now I'm going to own my shit, and now it's time to take charge. What's your thoughts on that part?
Yeah, it's powerful because that means you're stepping into the observer role. You're putting on the observer mantle, which is the most powerful mantle out of any of the schemas or identities that we identify with ourselves. The observer is the most powerful. Why? Because the observer is objective. It's watching the thing happen. So it gives you the process of metacognition, which is the most powerful process when you look at neuroscience, right? There's cognition, which is thoughts, the process of motion, innervation of nerves, all these things that are happening to cognitively like process your reality, give you information, and then project what you're experiencing. And then there's metacognition, which is not just the thoughts themselves, it's your thought on those thoughts. So to your point, the ability to be able to notice, wow, I was the serious victim, allows me to not only pull something out that's going to help me effectively move to the next level, but in sharing that, that's where our camaraderie is so powerful as we come together, men and overall, just as humans. The more we come together and lean on each other, we recognize that full power in being able to shift sails again and make a pivot because you were objective, allowed yourself to recognize where you might have fell on your face before, and then being able to share that with somebody else so they could potentially hop over that little pothole instead of breaking their ankle. You know, that's the gift in that, is not just for yourself, but now you have some information and wisdom that you can share with somebody else. Like, hey, watch out for that hole.
Yeah, the navigation part of the leadership is very important. And when you're able to find the right type of person to help you navigate, then you're like you said, pothole, hey, okay, I can skip that part. So for where you are at this journey, you know, you were talking about the addiction part, and then I know there's another part where you're like in 2019. Can you share people like like that was the question for the 24 hours before that? Where were you at, and then when that incident happened?
Yeah. So this is a great one because someone listening, you've probably been here, you might be there right now. You start to realize your dream. I was at that point in time really digging into the neuroscience and psychology, starting my formal education. I had finished my 500-hour teacher training, RYT, so I now was trained in yoga, understood it both philosophically and physically, all those aspects that came in with it. So I was at a really good place. I was building my 501c3 called Warriors for Life America, and the Willful Warrior was in its baby conceptual form, right? Figuring out, how am I going to share this as a coach? How am I going to teach people how to use the breath to shift their life like I have? and to come at it, like you said, from an easy position for them to recognize, oh, that's what I'm doing when I do that. Well, then I'm going to do that. So for me, it was an epic point in my life. And wouldn't you know it, many times this happens to a lot of us, right? You're on your path, you're flowing, you're glowing, everything is going really well. And on a drive, as I was making extra cash and doing like Uber and stuff on the side, I look over, not to like look at my phone, but you know how an alert pops up and you just quickly avert your attention to the screen on your car and then go back to driving. Well, just that motion. As I look back, I see headlights. Like, that's not doof. And it was a head-on car crash. I had just enough time to go, oh, shit. And came to, of course, felt like I was flashbanged. There was broken glass everywhere. I could smell gunpowder, was trying to figure out what's going on. Why is my engine in the passenger seat? Like, what the hell just happened? And when I came to, I had realized what happened. Thankfully, the paramedics, the firefighters, the station was like literally a block and a half around the corner. So they were there in like 10 minutes. And they pry the door open, they get me out of the car, and I fall to the ground. And that was when I realized, hold on a minute, I can't feel anything below my hips. Like, top of my hips is right about the last little sensation that I can start to feel. And you can imagine the thought immediately in my head was, you've got to be kidding me right now. Again was my thought.
Right. That's the other part, was that it's like, again, how did you attack it? How did you shift that mindset? Because I know how most people would, I know how myself would be, was exactly like, again, like, gotta be kidding. But at least this time you did have from up above. So it was also a blessing in a way. So I know you would be grateful at that part, but also you're like, I just had all these things going. So can you share from that mindset? Yeah,
absolutely. Because this part next is what I teach, literally what I teach and what I found for myself. For the first like 10 minutes in the ride on the ambulance, they get me onto the gurney, right? And they get me into the ambulance. I let myself feel it. I was pissed. I was righteously indignant. I was mad at the divine. Whatever you want, whatever your verbiage is for that out there listening. I was mad. I was angry. Like, are you kidding me right now, dude? Like, things were humming. So that's an important piece that I think most of us, especially us men, push past is no. You're allowed to feel those feelings. In fact, it's important for you to check in with that side of yourself, because the last thing you want to do is invalidate that younger person inside of you and say, no, don't be mad, push past it, grind, hustle, rub some dirt in it. All the things we've heard growing up, right? All these other things, I allowed myself to feel it. And wouldn't you know, within a 15-minute ambulance ride to the hospital, by the time we had arrived, my mentality had shifted from, oh, woe is me, victim, which I allowed myself to fully feel, to, oh, challenge accepted. Let's go. Let's do this. I know what to do. And to your point, I was like, hey, look, you don't have to worry about the waist up, okay? We got half the thing already handled from the first instance. You know what to do. Start it right now. And I did. It was challenge accepted, but that switch wouldn't have happened if I didn't let myself feel the anger, feel the emotion welling up inside, because if not, that's repression and bypassing yourself. That is not healthy. You'll never find the way forward.
It's extremely powerful. So I know that someone out there needed to hear that part about that story, but also to find a modality, in my opinion, is probably the most important modality that you can find. I mean, as far as a physical a physical one, and then build onto the spiritual one, I think that's the breath is the most important physical thing I do every day. Can you? So we're about out of time. Can you share where you are and like where we can find you, and then tell about the program, please?
Absolutely. And what you just highlighted is what they can find on my YouTube. I actually have some videos kind of breaking down the science for them. If they go to The Willful Warrior, and of course, I'm sure both of us will share links on our socials. But if you go to the YouTube, you'll not only get a little bit more explanation of what Dwayne just said, like literally your breath is the connector to the nervous system, which is the connection above and below, physical, mental. So it's the literal connection, and there's expressions in there, a minute and a 5 minute, that you can try out for free for yourself. So you can press that button, give yourself an experience. Also, be seated, please. Don't be walking when you do that. Dwayne knows. And then on top of that, the website, thewillfulwarrior.com. And there's a free ebook on there for everybody that wants to go check it out. Give you a little heads up, little head start.
Absolutely. So Leland, man, it's a pleasure. There's so many people that were that I had on here, and you were the day that I have circled. And so it's just really good to be able to have a conversation, but also just know that I definitely will be seeing you at some live retreat or something soon. I think there's a lot that I can learn from you. And also I think there's a lot other people can learn from you also. And so I just want to say thanks again for being on here.
Thank you. So, I appreciate you having me, bro.
You're welcome. Well, so this is episode 19. Can't believe it. We're almost at 2/3 of the way. It's been an amazing, awesome journey, but I get to have great conversations with people like Leland. So I will see everyone tomorrow, and the next guest we don't have confirmed yet. So I'm waiting on that part, but I kind of like this whole mystery part, Leland. Is people didn't know that you were coming on until 24 hours before. So it's kind of fun for me, as me and the guest are the only people that know. But anyway, so that is the podcast. This is ShowUp2Heal, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks. Thank you for watching another episode of Show Up to Win presents ShowUp2Heal. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.